Good evening. Welcome to the Diablo 3 podcast, possibly the Diablo 3 Drunkcast.
Yay.
I am your host, Flux, and joined on the show by a single guest tonight because he's good enough to be two people in himself.
Haha!
Mjinspace.
Hello.
And generally, I butcher your name throughout the entire podcast. Tonight, I will just do that once at the start, and afterwards, I will just refer to you as Hey You.
Okay, you got it. Awesome.
And we will know who it is. And you can refer to me as Asshole.
I just do that when I'm off the podcast talking to other people.
You and everyone else.
Yeah.
And Jay Wilson, too.
Yeah.
It is Sunday evening. It is Father's Day in America. It is probably not Father's Day in other countries because they don't think you deserve an award for just having babies in other countries. Possibly they do. Did you celebrate Father's Day in any special way, and are you a father?
I'm not a dad, and let's see. I like to look at other people with their dads on Father's Day and think about how my dad was a scum. Not really. Well, yeah, kind of a jerk.
Did Daddy never come to your ball game?
Daddy didn't come to much of anything I did because I didn't know him too well at all. So we'll just leave it at that. That's very traumatic, and I'm going to cry just talking about it.
Well, that'll be a good start to the podcast. Yeah. Do you ever suspect you were purchased from gypsies and not for a good price?
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't Actually, my birthday was yesterday, so I am not a father, but I have a birthday on June 20th, so if I ever have kids, I will be one of those people who has like their birthday's December 23rd or something. And it sucks because they just get one holiday a year, basically.
Yeah.
They get lumped in together. So I never had kids because they wouldn't appreciate me more than once a year, and that would be bullshit. So
yeah,
I will.
That
I will
one time
be
they
forever
appreciate
alone.
you.
Yeah, exactly. One day they pretend they give a shit about you and give you some horrible tie you have to wear in public and be humiliated by at some point. And that's their birthday too. It's like, that sucks.
Yep.
I did date a woman some years ago whose birthday was on February 14th.
Oh, nice.
Which I was never sure if that was a good thing or if it was like double jeopardy.
Well, you're really not going to forget in that case, right? Like, you can forget a birthday or you can forget Valentine's Day, but you're not going to forget both unless you really want her to divorce you or, like, kick you to the curb. So. But
then do you need, like, double presents? Like, you have to make a double extra thing about her, or is she pissed she only gets one day a year,
I don't know. If she was mad she only gets one day a year, then I got issues. I got other issues with that.
I only dated her for about a year, and we only had one birthday/Valentine's Day, and I think it went pretty well as best I recall, so I guess it wasn't a big deal, but
that's good.
Not my problem anymore. So, we haven't played a great deal this week. There was no one else available for the podcast. We're hitting the summer doldrums, and we're deep in the middle of Season 3 that's apparently going to go on forever, or possibly until August.
So now are we bitch-whining about Season 3?
Yes, it's now too long. We'll get to that.
Terrible problem.
Yeah, because remember how Season 1 was too long and the Season 1 was too short, and now we're back to too long again? There is no Goldilocks season.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
It is always either too long or too short. So getting on to Diablo stuff, have you joined the 1,000 Shard Club yet, or are you a filthy casual?
I am a totally filthy casual. Like, I've been actually splitting my time up between Heroes of the Storm and D3, and then getting back into trying to play League of Legends just mostly to compare it to Heroes of the Storm and, like, try to make some real, like, clear ideas in my mind of which I would rather play with my time. That sort of thing. I don't know. What have you been?
Does League of Legends have King Leoric with the ability to cast a waller that looks like a cemetery gate?
No, and that actually looked...
Well, then I think the choice is clear.
Yeah, that did look pretty cool, and it's a 3-sided wall. Like, that is totally broken. I don't know if you understand just how broken and OP that is, but we'll have to see how it comes out. It may not be that broken and OP when it finally...
I like that the wall is like as wide as a hallway, and he's got like a 7-foot shillelagh, and somehow he can do like broad swings with it and hitting them inside the wall. A little bit like Jet Li's fight scene at the end of Danny the Dog, but that's a little different. Except they don't have a weapon there, so... But, I guess the wall just holds opponents in. What was that stupid robot thing, by the way? Do you have any idea what that was? It was like is that a WoW thing?
I have never played WoW, so I have no goddamn clue. Don't ask me about WoW. I
put in the post, this is shameful. This is a stupid robot. It looks exactly like the golems from Torchlight 1. And some guy in comments is like, it's a Wazogi. It's actually not shameful at all. It's very cool. I'm like, oh my god. Thank you, Jay.
Okay. Yeah. Well, hey, at least it wasn't in D3. It was.
It probably will be.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was like half the news the past week was all of at the E3 the Blizzard have announced a bunch more stuff, and like the next expansion of Heroes of the Storm.
Yeah.
Is all Diablo stuff, and there's we've already seen the Butcher and the Monk and the Crusader's a playable character, and the Monk's coming up, and the Amazon's going to be in it, etc.
That's all.
Is that why you're playing Heroes of the Storm? You're excited because there's Diablo stuff coming up in it?
Well, I mean, I like that, Heroes of the Storm is by design a game that's going to bring all their different kind of universes together, and if it gets more people interested in D3, I mean, great, right? In fact, all the D3 stuff in Heroes of the Storm looks better than it does in D3. I think that's the one bitch point that we can really whine about is, I mean, man, like the Demon Hunter, it looks badass in Heroes of the Storm. I mean, and your Demon Hunter looks kind of almost blocky in comparison in D3, right? So, hey, I mean, the only bad thing, because people could play Heroes of the Storm and be like, oh, dude, I'm going to go check out D3. Look at these amazing models, and I like the way these characters play. And then they look at D3 and they're like, what the hell is this? This game looks like it's like dated and old. So, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But the characters are fun. If you haven't played Heroes of the Storm, go play it. You'll like the Demon Hunter. You'll like the Witch Doctor. And I think actually all the characters are pretty good. Some are stronger than others in their class, but all are good.
And now they're putting in monsters. So you have the Butcher, and they've already had Diablo and Asmodan. I played about one game of Heroes of the Storm in my life. I played it at BlizzCon a couple of years ago when it was first released, and I played the Diablo character. I had no idea how to play it. I'd never played League of Legends or whatever those other games like that are called.
It's just a different beast, really. That's all I can say. I mean, you have to still be strategic, and you have to be very tactical about how you position yourself. And the biggest thing in those games is, just like in all the RTS games, is you have to consider what you're going to do with your time and how valuable that is. And I like games like that. I really like Heroes of the Storm, and I like it like in comparison to things like Dota 2 and League of Legends. So I think it's going to do really well, and I think it's going to pull in a lot of people that didn't want to play those games. And I think Blizzard definitely has a winner on their hands. Yeah.
And your check cleared this week, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. Did Jay sign it with a smiley face, or did he use the rubber stamp?
Yeah.
I like the smiley face ones myself.
Oh, Jay has a special like seal he uses for mine. It's the
seal of
secret
approval, yes.
Jay Wilson seal of approval. Yeah.
As they say during the Canadian harvest, seal valid if not broken. Like
exactly.
The thing that occurred to me is, like, there's a million podcasts a week, and there's like sports podcasts and basketball podcasts. Like LeBron James isn't hosting a basketball podcast. Like famous football player is not hosting famous football player podcast, right?
Right.
It's like some fat guy in Kansas City who watches a lot of TV.
Right.
So, are you a fat guy in Kansas City who watches a lot of TV, or the metaphorical version thereof?
Every person on the internet is a fat guy in Kansas City who watches a lot. Unless I meet you in person. Pictures do not matter. Unless I meet you in person, you are a fat guy in a basement who does not wash very often, and that's it. Like if then once I meet you, I have a picture in my head. Okay, this is really this, but until then, you're just a fat white person. Sorry.
I feel like I'm at BlizzCon already. So I haven't played. I played a little bit this week. I talked about the last podcast. My Demon Hunter just died like a few days before. I think it was the day before. Actually, I think I died on Saturday.
Yeah.
I played a little bit this week, and basically I just did speed runs and some greater rifts like in the 35s and stuff.
Yeah.
And spent every shard I had on Helms, and never got a single damn ancient that I could use. So it's like, when I died, I had backup gear. The column Xanth posted this week in our hardcore columnist about how it's easy to bounce back when you die in hardcore. Some of the comments.
I think we're going to end up chatting a little bit about that, but keep going.
Well, I mean, his point was that it's very easy to get right back into T6 if you have some backup gear, which is true. But then someone in the comments said, well, yeah, but if you're trying to push higher, it's not the case.
Exactly.
And that was exactly my experience.
Yep.
I mean, I was speed running GR40 effortlessly before I died. I had like 18 million toughness without any buffs, and I had, 1.4K deep, 1400 DPS basically.
Mm-hmm.
And this is hardcore, so I wasn't super going on damage. And of course, then I was using Taegooks and focus, restraint, etc.
Yep.
So obviously your damage scales up a lot.
Yep.
And then that was with my best gear on. And when I got in my spare gear, I had like 12 million toughness and like 900k DPS.
There's
so
no way
now I can speed run GR35.
Yep.
And I can barely do the GR I could do before, but it's dangerous. I keep getting procs on like random stuff that wouldn't even have bothered me before.
Yep.
And yeah, I got the second I died, I put on, I did a gym of ease and just powered myself in like 45 minutes, just sort of for the fun of it, really, to see what it was like. And got back to 70 and was immediately back into T6. But I can't, I'm 20% less on damage and toughness, and that makes it, 30% less on toughness or something.
So in other words, you're just not back
up
up to the same level that you were. I mean, so it is.
And I can do T6, but
yeah.
So as I said, IOW, Xanth is a filthy casual.
Yeah, I think. I'm not going to rip directly on Xanth because I was really hoping that if I got to do the podcast this week that he would be able to do it, because I wanted to kind of challenge him on I want to find out exactly what level of difficulty he's doing that
He's doing. I see him online. I mean, he's doing T6. He's only like around 250 or something this season.
He's
playing a Witch Doctor and not doing a great deal. So if you're only in T6, yeah, you can get back to that immediately if you have some backup gear. But because power creep, right?
Yeah. Well, I wrote a response that I hope he does. I hope it wasn't seen as too mean, but I think he's his own worst nightmare. I mean, if you've got the ability to get a set of gear so that you have a full set of backup gear, and then when you almost die, you're like, well, it doesn't matter because I got a full set of backup gear, and then you're complaining because you have the set of backup gear that you intentionally was able to put together for yourself. I mean, what do you want? I mean, do you want somebody to beat you down like with a bat and say, you can't get up, and then you're like lying on the ground, oh my God, I can't get up, I'm crippled, I love this, this is like the best thing. I mean, what? You set yourself up for it, man. I mean,
like last week on the podcast, Nerdword said that. He's like, I'd play hardcore more if it was harder to get there. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's a new one, but
well, actually, I sat down and I thought about this a bit because in reality, I'm a huge fan of game over. I love the concept of game over, but it has to be done well. So I'm like, okay, in Xanth's defense, if I had to change some things about the way hardcore is right now, what would I do? Right? And what would I do that would make me also want to play it? And I'm like, okay, what if we did this? What if every single hardcore character had their own stash, their own Paragon levels, and they were completely separate from every other hardcore character you ever made, just in hardcore. In softcore, you'd still have shared Paragons and still have a shared stash. And so you would know that every single character you ever saw in hardcore had actually not only had they had never died, but they had actually built up everything they had on that character alone. And the caveat to this would be that if your hardcore character died, seasonal or non-seasonal, that character simply got kicked into being non-hardcore, and all their gear and all their Paragon levels got kicked into being non-hardcore. So the character was gone from your hardcore set. You still had them. You had all their stuff, so you could go back. If you liked the character, if you liked your gear, you could play it. It just didn't have that badge of eliteness that is hardcore anymore, right? What would you think of that? Would that work for you?
I think that was a Path of Exile was doing initially in hardcore.
Actually, they did that in part, and I loved it. I thought that was the most beautiful thing ever. I definitely liked the way they implemented it, but I don't know what they're doing now.
Well, given that everything in Diablo 3 is trending more casual-friendly,
yeah.
I mean, except for, GR75 is not casual-friendly. But
well, at least not yet.
I mean, they're making it so you can pick up the game quickly, and, T6 is the highest difficulty. They won't put in T12 or T20 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously want the game to be where you can play the highest difficulty without too much trouble. You can gear up pretty quickly. You find more legendaries constantly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no trading, obviously. If there was trading, you could just get your friend to give you spare gear in 5 seconds, right?
Yeah.
But instead, you have to find it yourself in 15 seconds.
Yep. Yeah. Well, no, a little bit longer. I mean, that's a place where I don't think we can really exaggerate. I mean, to get really the best gear that you need to push higher, greater rifts, and it doesn't matter if it's hardcore or softcore, like, it actually takes a fair amount of time to get that gear. It doesn't matter how lucky you are. There's going to be something that just doesn't drop for you, and you're going to have to play a whole bunch, and you're going to have to think about different builds that help you slowly build up your power in a different way until you get those drops that you absolutely have to push those higher, greater rifts.
Unless you have friends, in which case you can do it immediately.
Well, no, even
or
then.
your bot does it. You get on in the morning.
Well, yeah, if bots do it, then yeah. That's a whole other.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about botting lately. Apparently, it's just epidemic in softcore now. I mean, like, the people who... It's just there's tons and tons of bots available, and there's no consequences for failure in softcore, right? So people just do it all the time, and people are getting, like, Paragon 500 in, like, a day.
And that may be the case. I don't know, but I will say that, actually, right now, softcore is closer to hardcore than it's ever been if you're pushing greater rifts, because... You don't want to die dying in a greater rift in softcore sucks. You don't lose your character, but right off the bat, especially specific types of deaths, you're like, oh my God, this sets me back not just the few seconds I had to wait to come back to life, but it puts me behind in all these other ways that now I might die to the same elite pack or group of monsters that I just died to again. Like, I have to run back, maybe reset some things, and then go back at it. And if it was hard enough to kill me in the first place, it might be hard enough to kill me again. Like, if your goal is to progress, Like, you have to play softcore Greater Rifts like you're playing a hardcore character 100% of the time. So, I don't know. I think people can bot to a certain level, but if they really want to push endgame content and, like, challenge themselves, it's actually very difficult.
Yeah, but the botting is what gets you to be Paragon 1200 instead of Paragon 700, and then
That's true.
You got 500 more, 400 more points, more clicks to put in your main stat. That's 800 more of intelligence or whatever.
But there's no bot that can make you have good mechanics and like intelligent tactical gameplay. So I see what you're saying and you're right. But the difference between a good player and a great player and someone that can clear like GR70 and somebody that can do GR60 is some extent gear. Excuse me, I'm repeating myself because I'm semi-drunk. But it's also your actual skill of the game. Like, skill matters now more than it ever has before because of Greater Rifts, without question.
At the highest.
Yeah, at the highest level.
Well, I mean, if you could click a button and come back tomorrow and have 500 more Paragon points, I mean, that would obviously, you had 10,000 blood shards.
And like all these, oh boy, I just set my bot to only keep ancient gear, and suddenly I have this stash full of ancient gear that wasn't there yesterday. That's so awesome.
You obviously still need to know how to play, and you need some playing skill, you need some strategy, but obviously it's going to help,
Yeah.
I mean, if you could click a button and make all your gear on your character now, turn it from normal to ancient gear.
That would be kind of nice.
And add 400 Paragon points, obviously that would improve your Greater Rifts a few levels, right?
Just a couple. That's true. I can't argue with that. Yeah.
But yeah, so apparently that's not, as far as I know, that's not a real big deal in hardcore. I mean, I guess you could certainly spin to win barb or something. You're really not going to die on T6.
Right.
Even on a bot, you have 150 million toughness. You're pretty much invulnerable, right?
Yeah.
But it takes a while to get there. But I mean, anyway, I have not been botting lately. Have you been botting lately?
No.
Are your last 400 Paragon levels come from a computer?
Yeah, all 250 of my Paragon levels since I'm actually a little higher than that now because I've been playing a little bit. But yeah, I
260,
260, something like that.
Really getting up there. Somebody pointed out in a forum thread I noticed the other day, Paragon 650 is a third of the way to Paragon 800, roughly. So
yeah, that's a good point.
Like people talk about it really. I mean, it starts to scale up. I mean, I'm like Paragon 580 this season or something, despite not playing a whole bunch lately.
Yeah.
And I can still level up like every other Greater Rift, even playing solo.
Yep, but, absolutely.
Once you get over like 650 to 700,
it takes forever.
That's when it really, unless you're doing like 4-player GR40s,
Yeah.
That's when it really starts to drag, and that's when apparently the botting is really, people are making a big difference. And instead of being Paragon 650, they're Paragon 950, and that's 300 more points directly into their main stat.
Yeah, that main stat really does matter. And I mean, when you look back at what you were able to do, like maybe at Paragon 400, and now if you're Paragon 600 or 700, even if your gear isn't that much better, it's so obvious how much more damage you're doing. So I guess that is an argument for botting, and hopefully for people being banned.
So the drawback of only one guest is usually when there's two of you, I can get you talking, and then I can wolf down some potato chips or something in between.
Yeah.
And I put my mic on mute, but it's only one of you, so crunch, crunch.
You scared me. I thought like the line had dropped or something. Man. Anyway.
I could have.
Yeah.
So changing the topic a little bit, away from horrible botting and exploits and stuff, which were... I feel like if I was not playing hardcore, I would be like totally obsessing about botting and people cheating and stuff. But because it doesn't really exist in hardcore that much, at least as far as I know, and it doesn't affect me so much.
Right.
It actually does exist because Zappafan is our longtime moderator, and he's a big barbarian player. I interviewed him months ago about barbarian stuff. And he's one of the lieutenants in our guild. He kicked a couple of guys recently for botting in our clan.
Ooh.
And they were like Paragon 700 to 800, and they were always online, and they were always in like T3 or T4.
Oh, God.
I'm like, every single time I would log on, I would see this one guy always on, and he was always in like T2 or T3.
Right.
And I was like, why is he always in T2 or T3? He's like Paragon 560. But I mean, he was there sometimes. I mean, I would chat with him and talk to him. I played games with him on T6. But then other times he'd just be in like T3 or T2, and apparently he was just botting nonstop. And so Zappafan kicked him out of the guild and put a news post up saying any botters will be kicked out of this guild, etc.
Good. I mean, yeah. Once you see it, you kind of have to do something about it, right?
So obviously botting does exist. Probably not as much on T6 in hardcore, but I guess if you just do, I mean, obviously if you're able to do a bot that can efficiently farm guardians, what do you get? Like 60 shards on T2, something like that?
Yeah, I mean, it'll add
up.
If
it does that all night and you come on in the morning and you get 800 shards, I mean, that's a nice bonus,
nice pick me up, yeah.
And, 20 more Paragon levels or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that's how you went from 250 to 260, right?
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Well, I mean, but the thing is, I mean, This isn't a PvP game. It's really a PvE game at the end of the day. So, I mean, I'm not saying that I think botting is okay, but I'm saying that it doesn't affect me as long as I'm having fun with the game, and I still most definitely do. It doesn't affect me the same way. I really, I guess it's a see no evil, hear no evil thing. Like, if you're doing it, I hope you get banned and have your account totally, like, taken away from you. But if I can't see it, it doesn't really affect me at all. Right?
Put your fingers in your eyes and your hands over your ears, etc.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so speaking of things that don't affect you at all, how about the stash base in Diablo 3? You have plenty of it, right?
Oh, doesn't
no worries,
everyone?
You have like 4 empty tabs still?
Yes. So you were saying what? You put out a post. Repeat this.
Yeah, right after the last podcast, I wrote an article. I think it was Monday I posted it, and just about. I mean, I kept seeing just forum thread after forum thread, people in clan chat, etc., just going on about why isn't there stash space. I'm totally full. I've been like dumping stuff madly.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to play another class a little bit. I played over the last weekend with a guy who played a monk, like a ZDPS monk. Which isn't all that common. Usually you see them with witch doctors and crusaders.
Yeah.
But I mean, monks can certainly, pull monk with lots of toughness.
Mm.
And I'm like, that'd be kind of fun, I mean, I'm always playing DPS characters. I'm playing these super fragile, super califragilistic expialidocious demon hunters, right?
Yeah.
And there are no ZDPS demon hunters. You're either killing stuff or you're getting the hell out of the way and dying.
That's exactly it. Yep.
And I played with some people. I mentioned in a couple of posts that I was playing last weekend with some guys. We were doing some pickup stuff in the clan, and doing like GR40s, fast speed runs. And I think we were in a 42, and we just got one particular monster. It was a boss, an elite, just some random elite. We were at 65% or something in the Greater Rift. Going to clear it in like 4.5 minutes. We were flying through it, right?
Right.
And we got one that was reflex damage, thunderstorm, fire chains, and I forget the last one. Something else that was unavoidable.
Runaway.
Jailer.
Oh, God.
And it insta-killed the Barb and the Crusader in our game. I mean, as soon as they got near it, they were leaving the group, and they just instantly dead.
Yep.
R.I.P. R.I.P.
Yep. Yep.
And I got procced, and the other demon hunter of the game got procced because we were half a screen away.
Yeah.
And so basically, we got our reflex damage hit us, and it hit us with a Jailer, and it hit us with a Thunderstorm all at the exact same time.
Nice. Yeah.
And that was enough damage in GR42 or 43, after which it was.
Absolutely.
To instantly kill the 2 tanks and to damn near kill the 2 demon hunters, and we all, scurried away.
Mm-hmm.
And when we ended up killing it, I went back. I was using smoke screen, so I could bomb stuff pretty well with that. It wasn't super dangerous, but you can get that 1 in 1,000 really bad elite, and even if everybody in the game had done GR40 plus solo.
Yep.
And obviously, monster damage scales up a little more with 4 people, and we would have cleared the rift in 4 minutes. I mean, it was no problem killing stuff.
Monster damage doesn't scale up at all.
You just get that one thing that can really scale the damage.
Yeah.
And then you're dead. Yep. And so I kind of got inspired by that. I think it'd be fun if I was playing a monk and had 200 million toughness and had 0 DPS. Obviously, reflex damage doesn't hurt you when you have 0 DPS, right?
Right.
And I would just kind of plop myself in the middle of this and pull all these things in and just neutralize them. Everyone else could just nuke them for fun, right? And, of course, they'd all still die in the distance because they had reflex damage and they were helpless, but I could watch them die and then laugh.
And then laugh hysterically.
Okay, that's not what I thought. And then I was like, I can't play this. I have no stash space. I cannot make a monk, because obviously I can't just do ZDPS all the time. I need to do a DPS version to build up stuff and play solo and get blood shards and have fun.
Yep.
And I'll do so I need another whole stash tab at least just for this character.
Yep. And
I've got a level 70 Barb. I'd like to play some, but again, I have 0 stash space. And in hardcore, you feel stupid putting all your best gear on one character, because if they die, then you have nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, at least in that class. And it's like, if I had 10 stash tabs, I would play more of the game, and I would be playing a monk and playing a barbarian. And I just don't have any space to put this crap in. And I've been throwing off like everything I don't need. I kept going through the stash every day and dumping like another 10. Oh, I'm not going to use this mage fist. It's awesome, but I'm not going to use it probably.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I wrote this article, as I started saying 15 minutes ago before this whole digression kicked in. I've had about 2 shots of vodka since we started here, so it's getting a little. Actually getting a little drunk cast.
Nice.
So you can track my blood alcohol content, my BAC as we go.
Your blood shard alcohol content.
Exactly. I'm almost in the 1,000 shards club.
Yeah.
So yeah, but I'm literally put off of playing additional characters and having more fun with the game and trying new builds because I don't know anywhere to put the spare gear that I need.
Yeah.
And so I wrote this article basically referencing that and taking an intentionally kind of an opinionated stance, saying the lack of stash space is outrageous, it's ridiculous, we really need more, it's kind of a scandal. look at something like Path of Exile, where they'll happily sell you all this extra
I
space.
know. Oh my gosh.
And frickin' Diablo 3 China just launched 2 months ago. They actually have stash for cash. I mean, it's not like it's a hypothetical situation, right? It's in the game. In a different region.
Yeah.
Why don't we have the ability to buy more stash tabs? And Josh would be like, well, if you had more stash tabs, you would just fill them, and then you'd need more again. It's like,
really? That means you could sell us more of them, Josh.
And it's like we're literally saying shut up and take our money, and they're like, no, we're not going to shut up and we're not going to take your money.
Not only are we saying that, but we've been saying it since like the second week D3 was released. I mean,
So 1 second. That was the point of my whole editorial article. And I took this intentionally, provocative stance of saying, this is ridiculous, it's a shame, how come they aren't doing this? Expecting that there would be some pushback, that someone in comments would be like, oh, it's not that bad, or, oh, you just need to quit, you hardcore douchebags, you need to quit, saving all your bullshit. Okay, I can't talk, and I'm totally getting buzzed. And nobody said that. There's 25 or 30 comments last time I looked, and every single person agrees, and they're like, this is ridiculous.
Yep.
So what do you think about the stash space situation?
I think it's terrible. No, I think that there's simply...
Remember, your check cleared this week,
there's no excuse at this point. Literally, extra 6 sets are awesome. Beautiful. I love it. Add some extra stat. Actually, hold on. Let me step back from this. You know why I think it wasn't done here in America? Because it wasn't interesting enough. They want to spend their development time doing crap that's fun. But when they went over to China, since the game isn't it free there? So the
base game is free. You got to pay money to play Reaper of Souls, basically.
So they had to put it in the game because it had to be an income stream, right? But here they're like, no, we don't want to do it. We want to do fun stuff. So now I'm being kind of mean, but really there is no excuse for it at this point. As you're saying, it's already in the game overseas. It has to. I mean, literally, if the next expansion comes out and it's not in the game, everyone is literally just going to be looking at them like, what the hell is wrong with you? Like you guys are now you're just trolling us. You're trolling your user base. You guys are pulling a Jay Wilson on us. That's what people are going to be saying.
And they added one stash tab, a couple of patches ago, which was kind of nice.
Thanks
sort of out of the blue, but
yeah.
I mean, there is some point to the whole Josh thing, saying if we had 50 tabs, people would just fill them with garbage.
So what?
I mean, at some level, well, in theory, there is some sort of computer processing issue.
Yeah, that's
where
true.
The server's running 100,000 accounts at once, and if everybody, I mean, all the time when I open my stash, if it's busy, you only see some of the icons initially.
That's true.
And it takes a few seconds for the rest of them to fill in. I don't want that to be 10 times as bad every time I open my stash.
That's true. But the other.
But maybe they need better computers.
They need to just adjust their algorithms. I mean, that's really all it is, because there's tons and tons of games out there. There's games that have way more people playing per server, or per shard, as it called, than D3 has, and
Blizzard runs several of them.
Yeah, so what algorithm are those games using? I mean, fix your crap, fix the back end. Don't put it on the players who want to throw money at you like it's water or something. I mean, take their money, give them what they want. Come on.
Okay, I have a strong opinion on this, but I'll ask you without saying it. What do you think of additional stash tabs instead of being shared? What if every character on your account had their own stash tab, like their own private stash, and then you also had the shared stash that had 5 tabs or whatever?
Okay, if I didn't have to pay for it, that would be awesome. But if I'm going to pay for tabs, I want all my characters to get them. I mean, that's pretty much where it's at. I would be happy with that, and also that would make it so that characters that you could just make holding characters, and it would be way easier to manage your stuff on those extra.
Okay, I think it's a terrible idea. And I was arguing with the guy in comments about it. So
okay. I mean, I don't really care.
For one thing, in hardcore, you play hardcore, right?
I don't know. I mostly play softcore. Yeah.
Well, obviously there's an issue in hardcore, right? So, I mean, unless you say, if your character dies and their stash tab becomes, by mail, when a season ends, you can insert it like a mail does. Oh, wait, what? Email, I'm saying. Okay, then maybe, but in what possible way is it better to have a stash tab for one character instead of just having an additional tab for your entire account?
It's not. It isn't. But I'm saying if
that's what I was saying. I was like, no, it's better. You can, save stuff just for that character. I'm like, what?
Who cares? I mean, if they gave us more MOAR more, and then on top of that, they give us even more for each character. So you're getting more and more and more. Then it would be great. But if you're just going to give us more once, then yeah, I agree. Just give us more stash tabs that are shared, except for when they fix hardcore and they make it so, you get cut off at the knees every time you die, like Xanth wants, and, then you just lose everything that was in your stash every time you die.
I don't. Yeah, the whole thing with the different levels of like different play set rules kind of thing. Like we were talking recently about like having a no set character.
Yeah.
Or the whole no Paragon points or your individual. I mean I think that would be cool. I guess that's kind of thing that Path of Exile does somewhat, where they have these like tiny little ladders and little miniature seasons.
And those are really awesome, by the way.
Weekend experience run.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it seems like Diablo 3 is afraid to do that. I guess they're so monolithic, and we just have one big season for the whole world for 4 months.
I just think Wyatt doesn't want to do it because they're not the first people to do it, and it's not cool if they didn't think of it. Blame Wyatt.
Because everything else, because Blizzard is so known for their innovative,
for their incredibly innovative games
that are never derivative of everything else in the genre for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
I mean, Blizzard is, we don't mean this as an insult. I mean, Blizzard is known for taking very popular things and then finding new ways to make them better. I mean, Hearthstone obviously is just Magic the Gathering.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's not really though. Like,
Diablo 1 was Moria with graphics.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
all
exactly.
games are just existing things that are made better and newer and more playable.
But they polish them. Blizzard is where they are because their production quality is so high. I mean, that's really what it's at. They are the masters of taking things and basically like polishing them to be so bright and beautiful that no one can even look at them in sunlight. So, yeah. They're beautiful.
And everyone does that. I mean, every game is a sequel of a sequel of a sequel now, or it's just some genre thing. I mean, League of Legends is the biggest game in the world. Not just that's just what, a StarCraft mod, basically.
Yeah, basically.
A Warcraft 3 mod, and which is just a pickup of Warcraft 3, and then Blizzard's making their version of the same thing. I mean, everyone just. I mean, how many shooters are there? I mean, they're kind of crashing now, but for years that was Activision's biggest thing was Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And they're just the exact same as every other shooter in the year. It's either Nazis or zombies or World War II or
Madden, like 30,000, 27. Yeah.
I mean, I remember playing Doom, like Castle Wolfenstein back in the 80s.
Oh, that was so awesome! When it first came out, that was such a big deal.
With like 16 color,
Yep.
And you'd see your guy like his little avatar bleeding when you take damage. Like, oh my god, that's so amazing! All this shit is just recycled every year. They just recycle the same goddamn concepts. The whole video game industry is just incestuous circle jerk. Okay, that makes me vodka. But it's just ridiculous to be like, well, we can't do a 2-week season with no set items because Path of Exile has something vaguely similar to that. It's like, what, WTF? Cut off your nose to spite your face, right?
Yeah. Well, I think there's a good argument for in what you're saying to kind of like bore down into it.
That's a surprise to me.
In that if they did some of those, they could do experiments with things and not everything's going to be a hit. The truth is, I think that a no set item like full season would be stupid, but give a week or 2 weeks would be just long enough that people could enjoy it, and then they could be like, okay, I'm done with it. We had it. I'm satisfied, and then they could try something else. Just keep having seasons with different kind of parameters put into them and different rules, and then like no Paragon. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Haven't thought about it, but you could come up with 100 different ideas for tweaks on the current game, and then put it into a week or 2 week season and let people try it. You get a ton of feedback. A bunch of new ideas would come out of that might actually be good enough to put into the game, and everyone would like it. No one's going to complain about that. It'd be super fun.
I think they probably worry about splitting up the player base too much.
It's too late. That's been done. It's over.
I mean, I'd be like, why don't you have like 4 different seasons going at once? There's a no set season, there's a no Paragon point season. I mean, if people want to play it, they can play it, and if they don't, they don't. But
yeah.
I think Blizzard just worries they have, everybody be 5% of their player base in 20 different seasons, and then everyone's like, why is the game a ghost town?
Yeah, I guess there's a good argument for that. I mean, it's not like they have millions of people playing the game at the same time or anything. But
and the problem, of course, is partially because they don't allow any player modding. So people who wanted weird variants in Diablo 2 would just play mods.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
And you can make your own mods. You could do whatever weird rule set you wanted.
Well, that's sort of a
in Diablo 3. They want to keep it. We have no offline play.
Yeah.
We have online only because of piracy
exactly.
and stuff.
That's what I was going to say. There's just simply no way around that, and I don't fault them for that in any way. What's done right now, like this D3, that was another thing I never really got to talk to anybody about, is that the DRM in D3 is the best DRM there could ever be because it's non-invasive on your computer. Everybody knows a bazillion people would steal this game if they could, but nobody can. And that's really why they were all crying. And so if you're going to have DRM, this is the way to do it, and that's just a byproduct that people can't make their own servers and they can't run their own mods like that. So it is what it is. I'm not going to complain about that, really.
Do you object to the fact that Blizzard never just admitted it was about DRM, and it was always like, well, we want to craft the best multiplayer experience possible?
Yeah, that kind of they've done that.
They've
done that a couple of times actually. I've really looked at their answers and I've been like, you guys are so full of shit, and everybody knows you're full of crap, and you know everybody knows, and you still won't just lay it out for the player. Like, come on, guys, just be honest. So that did bug me, but. You know, if they said it, there are a bunch of kids who might cry. So, you know, what are you going to do?
Oh, we couldn't have that.
Yeah, I know.
So, new topic.
Okay.
Changing topic. A guy made a suggestion of fewer items required in sets for bonuses. We've had this on the podcast before, like imagining like if the Ring of Royal Grandeur gave you +2 instead of +1 for set items, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And the initial thought is, I mean, the guy's theory was like instead of having 6-piece bonuses, you'd have like 3 and 4 and 5-piece bonuses or something,
right?
Instead of like 2, 4, 6,
right?
Or even just 4 pieces.
Okay.
And of course, the immediate objection is, well, everyone would be running around with 2 3-piece, 3 pieces of 2 different 6-piece sets on, right?
Exactly. Yep.
And that'd be massive power creep. But is that a problem? We like power creep.
Well, what do you?
Okay,
before I rant on this, what do you think about this?
I mean, there's all the spin to win barbs this season that have 6-piece. They have a 5 and a 3-piece. They have 3-piece of IK and 5-piece of the Whirlwind set.
Yep.
And that's making them spectacular. No barb is like, oh, this is too strong. They should take this out. I don't like this.
Yep.
People like being wildly overpowered.
Exactly.
And there's not every build. There's no. You couldn't really combine 2 of the 6-piece like Demon Hunter sets and have it be awesome. I mean, they don't really synergize properly.
Not really. No. Naps could synergize with any of the other sets fairly well, but that's about it.
But you wouldn't. I mean, how would you be using Nats and Multi-Shot and Kreider Shot and Rain of Vengeance at once? You don't have enough skills for that.
That's true.
I mean, the Barb just happens to have 2 sets that really synergize well. And I think the Crusader has 2 also that would work out pretty well.
Yeah.
But people like power creep. Why is that a problem?
Why is it?
Do we not like power creep? Everyone's 5 Paragon levels, 5 GRs higher this season than last season, right?
Yep. And if it keeps going like this, they'll be 5 or 10 higher next season. Well,
if they fix the permanent CC stuff, they might not be the case. But yeah, anyway.
That's true. That's true, and that's a whole other topic that I think I've ranted on this show about in the past. But I guess before I give my opinion, you got to define what is the actual definition of overpowered, right? And to be overpowered in the current kind of meta games that we talk about is the fact that something is so much better than any other option that it crowds out all the other choices, and everyone, if they want to play the game at a high level, is forced to use that particular thing. So in D3, that would be sets, and I would go as far as to say the Focus and Restraint ring set now is crowding out everything else.
We'll get to that in a minute. So
yeah. So basically, is the problem that the 6-piece sets should be cut down to 5 or 4-piece sets, or is the problem that the 6-piece sets are overpowered? And if you say that, well, what if you could make a build that didn't use 6-piece, that used maybe some combination of 6-piece or just used reds, and you could get as far as you get with 6-piece sets? No one would complain, right? What if you could get the power that you're getting out of Focus and Restraint, well, besides the Barbarian Spin to Win build, but if every other class could, say, still be using some other set of rings and get the same level of damage that Focus Restraint gives you, we wouldn't have anything to complain about. But both of those things are, at this point, best in slot, without question, every single time, right? Does this make sense?
For most builds.
Yeah. So I guess my answer is, the easy answer, and the one that would make everybody mad, is if they just straight nerfed all the 6-piece sets and they nerfed Focus and Restraint. Then it would suck, but because it would be the reverse of power creep, and everybody would lose GRs that they could, people who were doing GR 60 would suddenly be only able to pass 55. But the other result over a period of time would be that new builds that were viable to the same level of power would start coming out, or they can choose to start making some of the other items in the game besides 6-piece sets actually good enough to be, to compare with the level of damage you're getting out of 6-piece. And they could take Focus and Restraint. I think Focus and Restraint is the opposite. I think they just need to straight nerf that set. But I know a lot of people wouldn't like it. But that, or they've got to buff a whole bunch of other rings to make them comparable in power, right? Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, there's a lot of connected issues there, obviously.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had a post just today about the lack of diversity in legendary rings. And the start of this season, the start of this patch, we were like, oh my god, there's so many new rings, it's going to be awesome.
Yep.
And then 2 months later, everybody's wearing Focus Restraint,
Well,
unless they're a Spin and Barb, in which case they're wearing a Rorg and a COE, right?
Yeah. Well, one of their major errors,
or if there's DPS, they're different. But
their major error was nerfing the new Zodiac ring, because if they had left it in, it was so good. It could give up to 3 seconds of cooldown, and that was crazy. It was crazy strong. And it was crazy strong in a way that's different from Focus and Restraint, because it's not just raw damage. It's saying you're going to be able to throw your abilities more often than you are now. It isn't just going to up the damage. It's just going to make your abilities available to you at a faster rate. So it would have completely allowed people to go a totally different direction from Focus and Restraint. But instead they nerfed it. So we don't have it as an option anymore. Yeah.
I think... get back to Focus and Restraint in a second, but the whole on the 6-piece set thing.
Yeah.
I think their initial idea with that was to make them like a really hard thing to find, like that would be your challenge. And it's become exactly the opposite. It's like it's more accessible. All you need is a 6-piece set, and then you instantly get such a boost in power.
Yeah, that you get everything.
That even if they're crap, obviously you want to get Ancients of Perfect Rolls eventually, but
yeah.
I think the initial theory was like, okay, people want to have a powerful build. They obviously Blizzard thought up these cool builds,
Yeah, and they're awesome.
Like, Marauder 6, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
Where instead of just having, like, you couldn't really make Marauder 6 work with, like, one item, like the Quiver. Obviously the Quiver's important, it gives you more sentries, but
right.
If you had just like a chest piece that instantly made sentries fire off your damage generators, your spenders,
right.
that would be like ridiculously OP,
Right.
So they said, okay, we have these really cool powers. Every class has got 2 or 3 of them, and the Witch Doctor has the best one, of course, with the zombie wall. Oh wait, that one's horrible. Obviously they're not all perfect, right? But they were like, okay, we want to make these really cool powers. We can't just put this on a single legendary; it'll be too good.
Yep.
And we can't make it gradiated, like you get three items, 3 different legendaries, and each one makes it 33% better or something. That would be cheesy.
Yeah.
Then it's a math problem. So we want to do these really cool things, like Natalia's set gives you the Rain of Vengeance cooldown.
Yep.
And we can't put this just on a bow or whatever, so we got to make it on a set. And then initially that was an awesome idea, but then it got so easy just to get those one sets that it's become this mandatory thing where everybody has to have the 6-piece set.
Right.
And now some people are like, we don't have any item variation or variety because we all have to have the same, at least 5 of these 6 pieces. And now with Focus Restraint, you need 6 of them because no one uses a Rorg anymore.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess that's kind of unintended consequences, right? They probably thought initially people will spend like a lot of the season trying to get the 6-piece set, and they'll be using a mismatch of legendaries until then.
Yeah.
And instead, people get the 6-piece set in like 2 days, and or 2 hours.
2 hours, yep. And then they rush
like,
out.
They're almost like a victim of their own success,
Yeah.
Like the 6-piece idea was a cool idea.
Yeah.
And you do have to sacrifice. You can't, there's lots of other legendaries that might be cool, but now people are like, well, now we're locked into these 6-piece sets, and we'd like to use different legendaries. There's all these cool properties we never get to use.
Yep. And
so I don't think they can nerf 6-piece sets, but maybe they can try to boost some of the individual legendaries. But it all just kind of turns into a math problem eventually.
It always will.
Am I better off with Cinder Coat instead of in these 5 pieces, or am I better off with all 6 pieces and Focus Restraint?
Right.
That kind of thing.
Right. And that's true. It's always going to be a numbers issue. But I think, part of what you're saying is that, and I don't think that this is what you're saying is absolutely what they believed at the beginning of their changes to the game and the updates with the 6-piece. But the concept of something being difficult to put together, to collect, meaning that it should be more powerful in a game like D3, ultimately will break down because of just simply how much people play the game. The game is played way more than it was ever designed to be played. So nothing in the game should ever be designed under the concept that this is going to be powerful because it's hard to get. Like nothing. Like everything should be designed around, it should fit into the game in an interesting and special and fun way. And if somebody gets it after they've played the game for 5 minutes, or they get it after 5 hours or 5 weeks, then at that point it'll still be valuable and it'll still be fun to them. Because if you start from the concept, like, yeah, everybody just gets their 6-piece, they're done, and then you never, ever deviate off that. At this point, like for my monk, in Seasons, the item that I want the most out of anything is an Ina's Reach, which is a weapon that nobody even uses. But if you get an ancient Ina's Reach on the current build, because two-handeds are so strong, that I would immediately be able to start using the 2-piece of the Ina set, and that makes you actually be able to get double power from your mantra, right? And that's really, really strong. It instantly will allow you to do higher level content because you're just almost impossible to kill. And then you can focus on doing damage with all your other gear. So it's like, all I want is this one item. If I get any other weapon drop, even if it's ancient, it isn't even what I want, because it won't let me do anything special because I already have all my sets done. So yeah, rare doesn't matter. I guess that's the end of my rant there. In my opinion, yes.
One of the weird things about Diablo 2, people always looked for the Grail, they would call it, trying to get, find every single item.
Yeah.
And there was very little correlation between scarcity and quality in Diablo 2.
Yeah.
With the system they had of treasure classes, there were these ridiculously, like the Griswold set.
Yep. Yeah.
It was a 4-piece set. There were 3 of those pieces in Treasure Class 90, which was the highest treasure class, and it was almost impossible to find. And they were junk.
They weren't very
it wasn't
good.
worth using. And there were stuff in Treasure Class 66 that was awesome, like like Tal's helm and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was very RNG in that way, but they've kind of tried to get away from that in Diablo 3, where for a while we had all the legendaries were either normal scarcity, 1/2, 1/4, or 1/10 scarcity.
Oh, that
and stuff like Crider Shot was 1/10
that
scarcity.
Was just. I'm really glad that they've actually started. I hope that they keep going away from that, because especially when the community buff was on, and I really got to see just how difficult it was to get some of those items when you have 200 legendaries dropping every 5 minutes. Like, you're never going to get those. And so I just thought, yeah. Anyway, my point is that I think that sucked, and I don't think it should be in the game.
You don't get 200 legs every 5 minutes now?
No, I'm not that fast.
God,
yet.
you are such a filthy casual,
dude. I am
dude.
such a casual, I know.
Can't you run GR70s in 3 minutes
I know.
yet? You got to get a 6-piece set, man. That really opens up stuff for you.
Let me go download that bot, and I'll put it on for 24 hours, and then
get one of those Inya's stabs, and then you'll be rolling.
Yeah.
But I mean, they tried to more closely correlate, quality with rarity in Diablo 3, and things like Calamity or Crider Shot or the best weapons for any class,
right.
Tasker and Theo was super rare for a while, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And those were basically 1/10 as common as normal sets or legendaries of the same item type.
Right.
And that was, in theory, that was logical, right? I mean, winning lottery tickets should be rarer than losing lottery tickets, but some people didn't like that. Obviously, you're one of those people who didn't like it. But
well, it's not that I don't like some things are overtly better than others. I guess I don't like finding a legendary that's simply never, ever going to be good. And that's like, sure, some are going to be stronger than others by design. But what if you could find, the first item you get at 70, some gloves, have some special ability, and you say, I haven't even played the game long enough to understand what this does yet. It looks interesting. And so you just put it away, and then you play the game and you start to learn more. You find out that those gloves aren't theoretically the best. You've gotten stuff that's outrightly better, but then you come back to them later and say, oh, wait a minute, these are actually useful for a couple of really specific builds. And they do have purpose, and they can be used, and it's fun and interesting to switch my gear around and try this stuff. That would be optimal for me, and that's not where the game is right now, right? Like, and it's way better than it was, especially, oh my God, at release, but I guess they could be doing even more. I don't want to see 6-piece sets all the time. What if you could run other things and they were viable? That would be the best.
Well, you can run a 4-piece Inya's set. That's pretty good, I hear. You're so close to.
Yeah, I know, right?
So getting back to the whole focus restraint thing, and the article I posted today about what happened to ring variety, and you're obviously of the opinion that FR is a little overpowered, and that everybody's, almost every class except for like ZDPS or Barbs are using them.
Yep.
And early on in the season, we were all like, Convention of Elements was awesome, and then we were bitching about how you couldn't tell which element was currently buffed and stuff.
Yeah.
Which is still the case, but nobody cares because they're always using focus restraint, right? So,
pretty much.
So the thought I had, the suggestion I made in the article was, what if focus restraint it seemed like the idea of that. Remember last season, almost everybody was using spender-only builds.
Yeah.
Like everyone was using reduced resource cost stuff and regeneration stuff and Reaper's Wraps and that kind of stuff to make resources. Yeah. And there were multiple builds. Obviously, M6 is a good example, and there were Crusader builds as well that used only. No one used the generator. Plenty of Wizard builds did the same thing as well. And so Blizzard was like, how can we make people use generators? Hey, we'll make these 2 rings, and it'll give you a buff each time you use a spender and a generator, and they can multiply together and be a bigger buff total. And then that and various other changes, obviously some of the new sets, Natalia's being a very prominent example, are totally built around constantly alternating spenders and generators. And that synergizes with the Focus Restraint buff. And so now almost everybody uses Focus Restraint, and people have just sort of thrown in a spender or a generator into whatever their build is, whatever the case may be, just to keep these rings going. And it's become like the whole point of these rings, it seems like in their design theory, was to enable people to use generators in their builds when they weren't otherwise using them.
Yeah.
Like those pants that are 100% damage to your spenders, except no one ever used them. Generators, I mean.
Yep.
But in this case, they actually have ones that do it. There's, what is it? Invigorating Gemstone, I think, is the other one of the legendary gems.
Oh yeah.
Is a big damage buff to generators, which nobody ever uses. But then, of course, Focus Restraint is so good that everyone uses this constantly. Yes. And so you're saying they should just nerf it because you want people to hate it.
Well, that's the easiest option, right? Like it would.
So would you nerf it to like 30% damage instead of 50, or what? What would you do?
It would have to be a numbers thing. Basically, what I would do is I would say, okay, what's the power level you get out of a Rorg and, let's say, like a Stone of Jordan, and maybe one other set piece that you're going to get.
Stone of Jordan is so Season 2, dude.
I know, dude, but still, it doesn't matter. Like, you asked the question, goddammit. No, so what do I get out of a Stone of Jordan and a Cinder Code and a Rorg? Let's add that up, and let's take a look at what I'm currently getting out of Focus Restraint. And obviously, Focus Restraint is way over the top stronger than those two. So let's nerf it down to where it's within reason of that build. That would be the simplest possible thing they could do. Now, I'm not saying they should do it. I'm just saying it would be easy, right? But what if, now that you're talking about this, what if they actually went back and adjusted all of the hatred generators to actually make them, like, useful in some way?
They've been trying not to adjust skills and making items do stuff in recent patches, so I don't know if they're going to... I mean, for a while, remember skills used to be like 110% damage, now they're like 700% damage?
Yeah. I
mean, lots of skills have just gotten gigantic buffs.
That's true.
Well, my theory in the article today, I suggested, instead of making Focus Restraint, I mean, obviously Blizzard devs might say this isn't the case, but it seemed to me, like I just said, that, they put in Focus Restraint to incentivize the use of generators when no one was using generators, to use both. Mm-hmm. So what if they made Focus Restraint work more like, say, Tegooks does? And so, like, each Focus and Restraint give you 5 stacks, 10% damage per stack, and they only last 3 seconds.
So they basically are forcing you to keep using either a generator or a spender, and if you constantly are just using spenders, you're going to run out. So you've got to mix up those generators in with it.
Yeah, so it seems like currently, like you see people doing, you watch those really high level, GR74 kind of stuff. And all you see are demon hunters that are using Kreider shot, and they shoot, 57 blue balls at super slow motion and then throw in one multi-shot just to keep their Focus Restraint buff up on both. And that's obviously the unusual part, because they're doing nothing but generators and then doing one spender. Most people do nothing but spenders and then one generator just to keep the buff up. And that seems like they're tweaking their builds to be a janky exploit just of this skill. And I know there's people listening to this know that I'm playing an Italia's Demon Hunter and are saying, like, okay, this is bullshit, because that's the one build that absolutely has to constantly alternate spenders and generators to work, and is totally self-serving, my suggestion, and they're probably correct in that point. But, of course, that seems like that's the kind of build that FR was meant to...
Yeah, that was meant to buff, exactly.
Like, there are builds that it doesn't really work with, and people are using it only because that they just need to do one spender or generator every 5 seconds and keep this huge damage buff up. But my theory is if you make it a shorter duration and make it take a few stacks, then it's not going to be worth it for that. You're not going to use it just, if you have to cast your spinner every 2 seconds or 3 seconds, constantly, and if you ever miss it, you reset the whole bonus down to 0, and it takes 5 steps to get back up.
I'd have to.
Maybe that would get back. That would incentivize the play style they're looking at.
I would have to fiddle because off the top of my head, the only thing I can really see that dumpstering is M6. I think every other
M6 doesn't work with focus restraint anyway,
yes,
though,
it does.
So not very well.
It does. I mean,
but the best item with M6, the bottleneck is resource, and Pride's Fall Helm is what really works for fix that.
Right. But FR just takes that build. I mean, it's not the best build anymore, but I guess what I'm saying is I can only see it dumpstering a build that already isn't the best build, and like a lot.
Well, look at the UE build with Crider Shot. I mean, these guys are doing multi-shot like once every 5.5 seconds because it's by far the weakest part of it. If they had to do it every 3 seconds and had to build it up in stacks, they'd still do it. It would just be a little weak. I don't think it would work. I think it would just be annoying.
Yeah, I think it would just piss people off.
Because, I mean, like, Taegooks was awesome last season.
Yeah.
I mean, M6, again, you mentioned. You could do Taegooks was the best third legendary gem with M6. Yep. But it was so hard to use.
Yeah, only good that I actually really liked that, because if you saw a stream of somebody who was really, really mechanically skilled at the game and intelligent, like the way they moved and the way they played was completely different from bad kids. So it was very fun to watch somebody who actually knew what they were doing, because they were at that level of Greater Rift out of skill, not out of just raw itemization. So
well, I was doing that, so I'll take that as a compliment. But the hard part was to do M6. I don't want to get too much Demon Hunter build minutia, but to do that you needed a lot of resource cost reduction. Yeah. Because otherwise you just couldn't get enough hatred to keep doing a spender every 2.7 seconds. And you really had to look at your breakpoints on your IAS also, because you really need to get off 2 of the generators with focus for every third spender, basically. And it was really tough in multiplayer because then you lost your Templar, so you lost that much more resource. But I mean, that's kind of how it works out. You know, it's cool if you have a build that you really have to do it just right. And, you need a certain amount of resource. And most builds are like that today. You need a certain amount of resource cost or, cooldown reduction or whatever to really make it work just right. And unless you get to that breakpoint, that checkpoint kind of thing, it's just much less effective because you just don't have enough resource, or you can't keep, your, Wrath of the Berserker active 90% of the time or something, whatever it is. But that's kind of the fun of the game, right? You find these specialized builds, and then you need specialized gear.
Yeah, that's the point.
And that's what we're objecting to with Focus Restraint, where it's not specialized, it's purely just a damage buff, and every build is now
the damage buff and it's crowding out all other options. So, something's got to be done. So, your suggestion maybe, I think it's worth some testing. Who knows? That's up to Wyatt, right? We don't need to blame Jay anymore. We need to blame Wyatt. So.
Well, my joke whenever I have bad gambling is I call her Jaydalaed now. So. Jaydalaed. Because it rhymes with Kadala, but, God damn it, Jaydalaed. That's when you fill your entire inventory. You spend 700
shards to get a bunch of yellow.
You have nothing but yellow hats to show for it. It's like, God damn it, Jaydalaed.
And the thing about that is
Jaydalaed.
It's almost like they said, isn't the chance of getting a legendary supposed to be something like 10% now?
It's 0.001%, and no one can convince me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like it seems like you either hit the jackpot and get like way more legendaries than you should get out of it, or you get nothing. It's like, oh, I just spent 1,000 blood shards and I got maybe one legendary. But another time you'll spend 1,000 blood shards and you'll get more than, I don't know. Like I've hit the mega jackpot where my item inventory screen was empty, and then I'd slam all the blood shards, and I literally half of my inventory is now legendaries. It's so stupid, right?
Well, that's because you ran in a counterclockwise circle around Jaydalaed twice
and you did a little dance.
That's how you pump the magic.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like there's definitely some what am I trying to say here?
You're saying that RNG is confusing.
RNG can be evil.
The gambler's fallacy.
Yeah. It seems like it's not 10%. It's either 50% or it's like you're saying 0.001%, and there is no in between. And
the 0.001% is whenever you're gambling amulets.
Oh God, let's not even go there. I stopped.
That's just setting money on fire.
Gambling. I won't gamble them anymore. I just refuse. It's a cost reward kind of ratio thing. You're just not getting the right amount of reward for the amount of resources you're spending to get it. There's just no point.
That was the one benefit of losing my Demon Hunter. I got to stop gambling because I had bigger fish to fry after that point.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get on I'm trying to at least get Ancient Helm and Gloves first, right, to get that extra 500 of main, both stats.
Crazy main stat buff.
Yeah, so that just no more gambling amulet. It's awesome. I can use my crappy Hellfire amulet that I had left over. That I wasn't using them when I died because I'd outgrown it. But yeah.
Yeah.
So other topic. Did you saw the news? There was a guy made a forum post on one of the D163 site, which is the main Chinese language Diablo 3 site, showing like the worldwide leaders in every Greater Rift category by every class and hardcore and softcore.
Right.
And like a quarter of them were people in China, which would seem surprising since the game launched there like 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
Like we've all had like 3 years to learn how to play it, and a year and a half of Reaper of Souls almost at this point. And, it's been out in China for 2 months, and there's already, like, multiple classes had the highest leaderboard score, Greater Rift score of anyone. And, of course, they do have stash for cash, so they have, like, 47 stashes each. They can save their spare gear.
True, yeah.
And we know they have, there's EXP buffs and blood shard buffs, so you can gear up faster and stuff.
Okay.
But still, you've got to be impressed. People have been playing the game for 2 months, and they're doing, GR 67 average with Witch Doctors or whatever, right? Higher than, like, Europe and America. We've had the game. So it's just this, the meme, no matter what you're doing, there's a 14-year-old Asian who's better at it than you?
I'm actually surprised at you, Flux, because Obama would give you the answer here. Go ask Obama, and he's going to tell you the truth. Chinese are all hackers. That's why. They're just hacking the system.
I think that's Donald Trump tells you, actually.
They're all, Donald Trump and that they really like each other, too. But they're all a bunch. I mean, I don't know. I'm being silly, but
they just got the game 8 weeks ago. Why are they already hacked?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think you're right. I think there are people that are playing the game. I think they probably beat us. I bet their highest level is like 21 hours a day instead of 19, like the people up at the very top of their leaderboards. But on top of that, I'm certain that people are botting and doing everything possible to get as far as they can, and in all seriousness. So, I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. What can you say? They're all for.
Well, I mean, as the news pointed out recently, I posted something a couple weeks ago about like the boot camps to deprogram Chinese addicted.
That was freaking hilarious.
They said there's 330 million online gamers in China, which of course is greater than the entire population of the U.S. And I don't know what, obviously European population, you got to say which countries you're combining, but it's not that much different. I think it's about 500 million if you count like most of Western Europe and, Norway and Sweden and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And don't count, obviously you got to, where do you draw the line? Where does Europe become Central Europe, become Eastern Europe, et cetera, right? But
where white people stop being.
They're not all online gamers, So in China there's like 1.4 billion people.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a lot of online gamers there, and just the amount of people you're throwing at the game, you're going to get people who are really powering up fast and probably sharing accounts. A lot of people playing it in public, playing it in bangs and gaming cafes and stuff. So most of us in the U.S. and Europe are playing it in our parents' basement.
Yeah, exactly. And we're fat white people.
With our IV of Mountain Dew and our 4-pound bag of Cheetos and Twizzlers, right? Exactly. Training for BlizzCon, obviously. But, if people are playing in cafes and are sharing accounts, you can certainly zoom up faster and get a lot more Paragon levels. And as we were talking about earlier, it's Paragon 1200 is a lot better than Paragon 600 if you're going for higher greater rifts and stuff. So
damn awesome. So I don't know how much there is to say there. I think they're just all Chinese are hackers. That's my answer. End the conversation. All Chinese are hackers. That's it.
Well, of course, no Chinese are listening to the podcast, so you're safe in making your radical, semi-racist assumptions about an entire ethnic group.
Assumptions are.
Yeah, and Wyatt Chang is very happy.
I know he's not. He's like, hey man, I agree. We're all hackers, dude. That's why your computer's not going to work tomorrow.
So, new stuff coming soon. They had the Play It Your Way thing was last week on Thursday, and they charted out some environmental artists to make sure that he would have a good excuse not to answer any content questions. Right? He's like, I draw rocks, dude.
Yeah.
I draw purdy rocks. I like rocks. They're purdy.
Rock.
And, of course, the funny part was Act 5. We got into sort of a conversation about that in one of the comments on the news thread about that. Like, my 3 least favorite tile sets are all in Act 5.
Huh.
I mean, everybody hates the surface city. You have the burning... What the hell is South Act 5 city called? Wortham?
Yeah, Wortham.
You have, you get the normal one where it's not burning, get the one that's burning. And I don't dislike how it looks, but there's always a really bad monster density there.
Oh, yeah.
and lots of long dead ends. You get
Act
that in a
5,
Rift,
so
like,
we're talking
oh,
about
crap.
West March. Sorry.
West March, whatever. I'm not good with the whole thing. Yeah, Wortham's that little tiny town in Act
burns.
2. Act 1.
It burns, too.
Yeah, West March looks cool, and you go into the building stuff, but it's always, like, crappy density.
Yeah.
My absolute least favorite tile set for Rifts ever is the Act 5 bone sewers, the bone repositories.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Where it's like a bunch of plus signs connected to the map always is,
Yeah.
And there's like no density. You get those big round areas you get those little flame torches sometimes that rotate.
Yeah.
And it looks great. It's it's all gothic and bones and stuff. It's like my first, apartment. But there's never any density. You run through the whole thing like 50 screens and you're like 64%. And it's like, oh god, I hate this. And so it looks cool. And of course we were joking on the podcast last week. Can you name a single item? Can you name a single legendary from the Act 5 Horizon?
I couldn't at the time of the podcast, and I still can't.
Nobody, and that's partially because there aren't any good ones. If the Rorg was in Act 5, we would all do Act 5.
And we would all be complaining. Let's not lie.
Well, we do anyway, but that's different. But it's just Act 5 has these awesome giant levels, and they're just giant levels, and the density usually sucks. So no one ever farms.
Didn't it have giant levels because everyone was bitching that like the first 4 acts in D3 were too pretty and didn't look vicious enough, and that they were too small. Yeah, so they give us what we want, and then we don't like it. Yeah.
I think part of the problem, some of them are good. The Act 5 swamp is pretty good. The little quicksand pits are annoying, but there's usually really good density there. And the Act 5 cemetery is like the best rift in the game.
Yeah, those two are both.
that's just like a 2-minute orgasm. You're just like, destructibles. That was just fantastic.
It can be hellish on Greater Rift because you can actually just like take 2 steps and have 3 elite packs just suddenly jump in your face. That could be a bit challenging.
Yeah, it's insane. If you don't have a very powerful computer either, you're like screwed there because there's so many destructibles. It can just completely. I hear people all the time saying like they lag out there completely. It's like they're just doomed.
Mm.
Get an SSD basically is the answer, right, and a better video card. But obviously there's some nice areas in Act 5, but they just made some of them. It worked out that any area with narrow levels kind of sucks because you just don't get the monster density.
And they could fix that. It would just take a rewriting of the way monsters spawn in the game.
But they're in the walls and the corners. Like the ice caves are always kind of slow because there's not enough density. So.
Ice caves. I don't know. It depends on your class. Like for Demon Hunters back in M6, I haven't played. I've only played seasons. Right since Season 3 started, I haven't even played the Demon Hunter. But in Season 2 and before. Ice caves were really awesome because you could set up this little farm of sentries, and then you could walk the monsters back into it and just decimate entire. Like it didn't matter how many elite packs were there; they would insta die. And so it was kind of annoying sometimes, but overall, those long hallways where you could just kill everything in front of you and it never got to you were kind of nice sometimes.
Yeah, and some builds are great. Like the Act 2 sewers are like that, where it's straight angles. It's either right turn or left turn.
Yeah.
And you can get really nice runs. Playing the whole Natalia 6, especially if you do the fire build, wherever you have knockback like anything with narrow hallways is awesome. Yeah. What sucks is when you get like the spider caves, where there's lots of little side passages, and stuff's like popping out of the ground behind you.
I think we all just hate spider caves because we're traumatized by having to run them in Act 1 so many goddamn times for a Rorg.
But now you get to do the Queen's Dessert, which is kind of fun, though.
Yeah. Oh.
At least you can see where they are on the map quickly.
Yeah, that's true. The cows.
But anyway, the whole point here was the environmental artist was on the live stream, and of course he wouldn't answer any questions about what's coming up soon, etc. But we got information from some of the blues were posting, some of the community managers were posting, replying to chat in the while Nebulosus was dying every 5 seconds, as always, or so I was told. And they did confirm that, as Wyatt said months ago, Season 3 is scheduled to end in August. They're looking to go about 4 months. And so they are looking to launch the next patch in August and the next season in August, probably toward the end of the month probably. Yeah. But we were kind of wondering, we haven't heard anything about that. Obviously, there's no PTR going yet.
Yeah, that's good.
And, of course, last season the PTR was going like a week and a half after the patch started.
And that ruined it, yeah. I think they've learned their lesson.
Too soon.
Yeah.
But then again, we're only... we're less than 6 weeks from August at this point. It's June 21st as we record this, getting damn close to June 22nd the way we're chatting on here. In our time zone, anyway. It already is in other parts of the world. And it's like June 27th in Australia. I'm not sure what time zone they're in. It's pretty strange.
Okay, you're rambling.
Like the dingo was still in my baby time zone. But anyway, we are 5 weeks, 5.5, 6 weeks from the end of the season, from 4 months of the season. And the last, we've had multiple patches, content patches on the PTR. They've all gone about 2 or 2.5 months. A little less sometimes, 8 weeks, 6 weeks. But in theory, the PTR should start like tomorrow at dawn.
Yeah.
If they want to do a 6-week PTR. And we've been wondering, why aren't they doing any PTR? Are they just saving up all the content? Are they, is there going to be no PTR? Then there's going to be a big expansion announcement coming up in August at Gamescom.
Right.
And I'm not sure if there's evidence for or against that. So every week we end up this podcast rambling with random, pulled out of our ass guesses about Gamescom and BlizzCon. Right. So you go first.
Well, it's time. I think I've said this on this podcast before. Like, this is the moment where if they're going to put out another expansion, they need to do it. Because, quite frankly, the game's been out long enough. People still like it. They're happy with it. But you're starting to get that fall off. Attrition is starting to make you lose players. And so this is kind of the sweet spot where you need to announce another expansion or some really big update for the game. And it's going to bring the players back that were starting to fall off. The people that are still playing are going to get excited, and it's going to carry them through until it comes out. So yeah, I think that there is going to be an announcement of some sort of expansion at Gamescom or BlizzCon, most likely Gamescom. And at that point, then it'll drop onto the PTR. So I bet you that Season 4 won't start immediately. I bet there's going to be a fairly long break this time while they kind of have the PTR run its course and they make all their marketing announcements and this and that.
Well, you will notice that the last few patches have had lots of content, but really no new art.
That's true.
I mean, they have this whole development team. You look at Reaper of Souls, and like half of it is new tile sets, new art, and obviously tons of art for the new Crusader character.
That's true.
All the new monsters, etc. We haven't had any new monsters except for like the Rat King.
Yeah, who was already in there anyway, he's just hiding. Right?
Yeah, and we had, the Ruins of Sescheron level was in BlizzCon last year.
Yeah, that's weird.
We
haven't seen it.
And they said that is going to be in the next patch, and they also said they're going to be removing rifts finally. I mean, a wave of trials finally.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they do that right. But I think they've had enough time to think about it and get enough feedback that it will be something that satisfies the player base.
And they said they're going to add 20 stash tabs in the next patch also, right?
Yeah, you wish.
Maybe not. Maybe that might be.
Hopefully, that would be amazing. I would love it, but yeah.
you just filled up and then you'd want more.
Okay. What if they gave us a button to organize your stash tab for you, so you could just?
I wouldn't trust.
Well, you think they're going to steal legendaries from you?
They wouldn't do it the way it's supposed to be. They wouldn't do it the way I like it.
Flava Flay style, can't trust it.
If you watch a streamer or something, or look at the screenshot and they have like all their crap just like thrown just helter skelter in their stash, does it make you twitch? Does your OCD kick in?
No, I do that, but then about once a week or so, I'll stop and put it all in its proper place and then keep playing. Yeah.
You see, I wouldn't trust some auto sorting of my stash to not make it look like some streamer, where there's like gems and materials and like crap just like all thrown in together. And like if you ever look at like selfies are like the whole thing now. Like every 18-year-old girl posts selfies.
Right.
I swear she was 18 officer.
Yeah.
And you always see the room behind them, and it's like you understand why your mother screams at you when you're a kid.
That's so trashy.
Because it's just like every piece of clothing they own is on the floor, and like the bed is covered with crap. That's what people's stashes look like. Like an 18-year-old girl's bedroom behind her selfie picture.
Now what if?
Except the streamer's not wearing yoga pants.
Yeah.
So there is no plus to this image.
But what if? Okay, then what if you could set it up so that when you dropped an item in your stash, it automatically went into a specific tab that was designated for that type of item. So, gloves, pants, helm, whatever.
I don't sort my tabs by different kinds of item types.
I don't either. I'm just giving you an example of something.
Well, this is my worst case scenario. You're already having a sorting mechanism that I don't want it to do.
Okay, then yeah.
I do wish you could make tabs. I mean, it's nice you can change the graphic on your tab, right? Everyone knows that by now, I'd hope. You right-click it, then you get a whole bunch of other options. Actually, I'll see a post every now and then, like, oh my god, I right-clicked my tab by accident. Like, you can like make it look like different stuff. They're not all just the same 5, identical bags.
Oh god, that's a.
But it would be nice if they had a little more
options
casual,
with them. Not just a filthy casual. Holy cow.
Yes, well, I think filthy and smelly go together. much like as you find out in the elevator at BlizzCon every year.
Oh god.
But I don't know. I don't need auto sorting. I know where stuff is. I wish I had a little more options for my stash tabs.
Yeah.
In terms of the visuals to show what they look like.
Yeah, that would be nice.
But I mean, we just need more space. But I'm not sure how do you get back to stash tabs here? What happened?
I think we know what we want.
I blame you.
Yeah, I know what okay, Blizzard, get to it. Stats out.
Yeah, that was what's coming up in the expansion.
You're right, exactly.
So we've been wondering, the last 3 seasons, as soon as it started, or very shortly after, 6 weeks, 4 weeks, we had the PTR going and lots of chatter about the new patch, lots of blue posts about the new patch, and we've had, absolute radio silence instead for like 3 months. So since the season started, they've really said nothing except for when Wyatt said the season's going to go for at least 4 months. And so people have been saying, well, maybe they're crunching on the expansion. And of course, as I said a minute ago, we haven't heard a word from the artists or the level designers or anything. We hear from like the items designers.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Which is what they can easily do in patches because you don't need a bunch of new graphics and obviously items, new sets and stuff are what really make the game playable. Sure. But in theory, either all the designers are making Leoric's 3-sided, cemetery gate for HOTS, or they're cranking out, Ruins of Sescheron and other new tile sets.
Yeah. And
I've asked this question to multiple podcast guests forever, but nobody plays story mode anymore. When's the time you played story mode in Act 5? I mean, never, right? We don't even know what the hell the Heroic Cache has in Act 5.
Yeah, no one plays it.
So, do we really want Act 6? I mean, we all talk about it's going to be, the Amazon homeland, the Greek islands, and look like all this cool stuff, and jungles, and sunken temples. That would be awesome, etc. Right. But do you really care about story mode, or would you rather... So if they announced at Gamescom in 6 weeks, 6 character class, it's a Druidomancer, whatever, right? And there's a bunch of new item sets coming up, and you get double the inventory space, and there's runes now, whatever the item game gets deeper. We're hoping, right? We're assuming the item game will get deeper. You can put a cod piece on your follower, whatever you want, right? There's new stuff. And we're not putting out a 6th act. We don't have new NPCs, we don't have the story, we don't have Diablo Part 2. We just have a bunch of new tile sets and a bunch of new items and a new class. Would that disappoint you, or do you really want more story and a full 6th act and more, you're fighting Mephisto's sister-in-law or something now?
Well, don't we want the tile set? I think we're going to play through the map once.
We'll get the tile, so you get, it's like the, what the hell are they called? The, septic pools. Septic tanks. Whatever, dude. I'm so drunk. Whatever they're going to add. So they add like 5 new tile sets, and you only see them in greater rifts.
Yeah, that's what we want. All we want is the tile sets, dude. They could put the map of the game for a week, and we'd play it, and then they could take it out, and we would never know the difference. But as long as the tile set was in greater rifts, we would be happy.
Yeah. So would you care? I mean, I asked this to 9ball like a year ago, and he had a heart attack. Yeah. Because he's like Mr. Story and lore and stuff, and he wants all that shit. I don't give a shit. I mean, I guess I would like there to be an Act 6 and then all that same stuff in tile, in the rifts. But honestly, I'm gonna play that like twice and then just play rifts.
Yeah, of course.
I'd be okay with them not having all that. But of course, I think the part of that is if you don't have a whole new act, then it's hard to charge $40 for it.
That's true. Because most people are filthy casuals and they're gonna play through the game and they're gonna enjoy it. And they're gonna probably not play that much anymore, and then it's gonna be a couple, slightly less filthy casuals and some hardcore people who.
If it's just a map pack and some items, that seems like DLC.
Yeah.
You don't need to buy a CD to get a map pack and that, you want. But of course, what % of your playtime in Act 5 has been in rifts? 99.9.
99.999.
So it's kind of pointless to have that, right? But I think we all still want it anyway.
Yeah, we want it. And
MOAR.
I mean, it would be, I guess. We're taking it right now from the perspective of people playing the game as it is right now. It would be fun if they took another expansion a totally different direction. They didn't have to add another act, but there were new tile sets, there were new maps. I don't know, maybe you could just, what's a random idea? You could go down through hell looking for Leah's soul to try to get it back, and hell is like infinite. It goes on forever and ever and gets harder and harder like greater rifts, and I don't know, I'm just being random. They could just do something totally different, take it a totally different direction, leave everything in the game as it is right now, and then say, okay, we're also going to add this new feature. That'd be the best. I mean, that's a developer thought process, not a we're taking the game from where it is right now kind of thought process, though. So.
And that's possible. I remember back toward the end of Vanilla, we were like, can we get rid of some of the difficulty levels? We hate having to repeat the same thing 3 times and then do Inferno.
That's so bad.
And they were like, well, we got something new in mind. And, of course, that was Adventure Mode, which, completely changed the paradigm,
great.
right?
Things are so much better now. Yeah.
So it's possible that things that obviously we're getting that a little bit in the removal of Wave of Trials.
Yeah.
Everyone hates that, and they're going to say, we're just not going to have that anymore. They're not making Wave of Trials better. They're not making it reward you with blood shards on top of the other stuff. They're just saying, okay, we're getting rid of it entirely.
Yeah, it needs to go.
So maybe there's some other stuff, some major things that we're all pissed about, and they're just going to be like, okay, this is gone.
Yeah, and not only is it gone, but we've actually gone back and kind of rethought a number of these things to make the game overall more enjoyable and add new content, which is all we really want. What do we really want? We want new things to do.
MOAR.
Yeah, we want MOAR. We want new things to do.
When do we want it? NAOW.
We want it yesterday. Like
YSTRDY.
Yeah, I think you're getting too drunk. So yeah.
SRSLY.
Okay. So thanks everybody for listening to the Diablo podcast.
Bye-bye. I have one last topic for you. Are there any other topics you were dying to get to?
No, I think we've kind of ran through everything. It's kind of a dead space right now. We know stuff is coming. We still like the game, but we would love to get some sort of little smidgen, little pinch, just some hint of something that's coming out so that we can be excited about it and have a whole podcast where we talk about it like endless losers. But
they won't tell us because they're saving it off the announcement of the expansion,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. So let's go play the game, have some fun, kill some demons. It's fun.
So which Diablo 3 character has the worst Father's Day other than Leah?
Other than Leah. Wouldn't it be the Demon Hunter since her entire family got hosed?
Everyone's family got hosed. It's like a savage
No, they
world.
didn't say that. It seems like the Witch Doctor.
The Barbarian's entire civilization got hosed, dude.
Oh, but that doesn't mean your mom and your dad is
And his
dead.
sacred mountain was destroyed.
Yeah, they're sacred.
It's like the Vatican blew up tomorrow and Catholics are wandering the world making sad sounds.
They do that
Only
anyway.
worse.
Yeah.
So, seriously, Leah has got the worst Father's Day, right?
Why?
I mean, because her dad, possessed her, 50 years later and turned her into a horrible demon and then destroyed heaven.
Ah, okay, yeah. I guess he did do that,
Her own father made her just to possess her later and, destroy Tyrael with him. Which I understand, because Tyrael's always been kind of a dildo, but... But I
thought her mom was more up. I mean, her mom was kind of the one that.
And her mom was a horrible witch who lied about everything and sold her.
Yeah,
in slavery.
Her dad was just a horny demon. It was her mom's fault. Yeah,
a horny
demon.
But so last topic. This is not on the notes. We can jump to it quickly. One of the things people often bitch about is all of the rewards in the game are for multiplayer. You get these gigantic rewards and buffs for playing 4 people.
Yep.
The only ones who don't play 4 people are botters who are playing solo because botters. Right. That's really Epidemic and softcore, where it's if you're not doing GR 42 to 48 in 2 minutes, you're wasting your time. And people often say, why aren't there better rewards for single player? Why are there so many buffs for multiplayer? And of course, we spent most of Diablo 3 vanilla bitching about how there weren't enough buffs for multiplayer.
Yeah,
there was no reason to play in groups.
This is the circle. I don't even want to go here. This is the circle of wine. If they buff single player, then the circle of wine will bring it back to, multiplayer isn't valuable enough. No. Go. You know what? If you're going to sit in your mom's basement being a fat white guy, at least be a fat white guy with 3 other fat white guys at D3. Don't be a fat white guy by yourself in an online game. Come on. They're pushing you to actually have some incredibly shallow level of social interaction with your quote friends. So we just got to go do it.
Remember the old days of shallow social interaction was TPPLZ.
What the?
POTAL. That was Diablo 2's social interaction.
Ah.
And now you just right click and teleport to the person, so you don't even need to stop the type.
Yep. Times are tough.
And you had to, and of course, WUG.
WUG.
That was the heart of Diablo 2 social interactions. WUG. And of course, they took care of that problem because BOA. So
yeah.
let's use nothing with acronyms from now on out. So casual listeners will be like, what's a BO WUG?
WTF. WEG.
Okay. I think there should be better rewards for single player in some ways. I think the game that's the more pure aspect of the game. You have to actually survive on your own.
It was designed as a single player game, yes.
You can't just hide behind some other son of a bitch.
Yeah.
And let them do the damage.
You can't just stand there.
Yes, exploit.
You can't stand there at the entrance to the map and go from 1 to 70 in 3 minutes. What? Yeah.
2 minutes. If you get the cows and a gem of ease.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. But as you just said, the whole point is either if there were less incentives for multiplayer, they'd be like, why are you making us play single player? We want to play with friends, you know. And I don't know. It seems like I don't know how you even do it. I mean, ideally, you would have multiplayer bonuses that everyone actually had to play and not just leech.
That would be nice.
But of course, people like power leveling. Power leveling's fun. Yeah. So maybe there's a leech penalty above level 70. I don't even know how you'd work that. But then people would just run along behind stuff. And of course, in softcore, they can do it anyway because there's no death penalty. So
yeah.
I don't know. I do think that the game. People often point out now, if you play single player, you will never ever be anywhere near the Paragon levels of people who are just constantly doing 4-player games.
Right.
Even if you're a much better player with much better gear.
Right.
So it seems like that's almost like the focus restraint thing again. If the game is built in a way that overly incentivizes one play style,
right.
then you feel like you're wasting your time unless you're playing in multiplayer games.
That's true.
Even if you enjoy single player more. So maybe they can make some adjustments to that in the future, and that's one of those things we hear a lot about.
Well, I think honestly now that I've had time to formulate an opinion while you've been ranting, is that the
that's what I'm here for.
the fact of the matter is that the multiplayer buff is actually a carryover from D3V when we didn't have the same drop rates that we have now, right? And so there really is no particular reason for it to be as powerful as it once was anymore. It could be taken away, and people would still get a butt ton of drops, and they would still get really good experience. So I guess you could just say take it away, and no one gets hurt by it, other than a bunch of people who always play with their friends and want to get a buff, right?
I've never really heard complaints about the drop rate buff. It's always the experience.
Yeah.
I mean, you get a drop rate buff, but eventually you don't even care about drop rate buffs so much because you mostly get your upgrades from targeted gambling with your blood shards.
Right.
The odds of getting a random drop that actually improve, as an ancient of whatever set you want is pretty damn low.
Yeah, it happens.
So really, you want the blood shards once you're pretty well geared. Right. But people just, the experience is what comes in, and of course the whole experience thing is you can easily get to Paragon 560 or 600 or whatever solo. Right. But you're not going to get to 1,000 solo.
Right, it's impossible.
And that's where you really have to get
unless you're body
multiplayer stuff. But of course, if they just cut the multiplayer experience bonus in half or in quarter, then suddenly everybody's Paragon 800 instead of Paragon 1200.
Yeah.
So everyone kind of tops out at some point, and it's like, well, this just makes the game less fun.
Yeah, I honestly,
so I guess that means you have to buff the single player bonus.
I don't see it as an issue personally. It really, honestly, isn't a big deal. You should. I mean, they built communities into the game. God damn it! So get out there, join a community, and
find a fat guy in Kansas City.
Exactly. Find a fellow fat guy. That rhymes. Find a fellow fat guy in Kansas City and play the game with him.
Actually doesn't rhyme.
So yeah, beautiful.
You're confusing alliteration and rhyme. Common poetic error, but go ahead.
Oh dear. So yeah, I mean it's. I don't know. I really have no complaints there. I play the game mostly single player, and it doesn't even bother me. When I play with friends, I get a little bit more. When I play by myself, I'm just playing it when I have time, and I enjoy it. I mean,
but you're a filthy casual.
If you don't eat this is an eater sleeper mow the lawn problem. If you're not doing anything else but playing Diablo 3, then it's going to bother you. If it bugs you too much, get some sunlight, then come back and just have fun with the game. Yeah.
You're getting into Master P territory here, so I'm going to cut you off before you unify the listeners in hatred.
I don't think they like me very much anyway, so who cares?
Okay, thanks for your time. It's late now, and you can go to bed. You are listening to the Diablo I.net podcast, the Diablo 2 Net podcast. I am your host Flux, and I'm joined by Mjinspace. Thanks for your time, dude. And
Wug.
Moo.
Moo. Moo.
Mug. Wug. Moo.